Welcome to another deep dive. Today we'll be exploring the world of mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, mindfulness. We've got 2 articles from mindful.org and one from Psychology Today. Should be pretty interesting.
Sounds good.
I think everyone's heard of mindfulness, but it seems like it's really gotten popular lately. Athletes are using it.
Oh, yeah.
CEOs are talking about it, and even the military is incorporating it. Makes you wonder, is this just another wellness trend? Or is there more to it?
Definitely more than just a trend.
Yeah.
The sheer variety of people using it, I think it shows that there's something important about how our minds work.
That makes sense.
It's fascinating, too, because it's not just relaxation or stress reduction, although those are definitely great benefits.
Right.
It's also about connecting more deeply with yourself, unlocking creativity, and potentially even, changing your brain for the better.
Okay, hold on. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's start with what is mindfulness?
Well, mindful.org puts it really well. It's the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us.
So it's like hitting the pause button on autopilot.
Exactly.
Just like actually experiencing life as it unfolds.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not about emptying your mind completely.
Not at all.
Not becoming some kind of emotionless robot.
Right. Psychology Today, they emphasize that mindfulness is about paying attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Just kind of observing what's going on inside, but without getting swept away by it.
Okay.
So imagine watching leaves float down a stream. You see them, you acknowledge them, but you don't try to grab them or control them. You just let them float on.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. My mind is often more like a hurricane than a calm stream.
Huh.
It feels like it's always bombarded with to-do lists and worries about the future, that song that's been stuck in my head all day.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. That's actually the opposite of mindfulness, what we might call a full mind. And a full mind, it's stuck in a loop, thinking about the past, worrying about the future, and basically missing out on the now. Healthline actually compares it to a toddler who wants everything now.
Oh, I can see that.
And mindfulness is like becoming the parent, gently guiding that toddler's attention back to what's happening right now.
I love that analogy. Makes this whole concept of mindfulness, a lot less intimidating.
Yeah.
So before we move on, any other common myths or misconceptions about mindfulness we should clear up?
Sure.
I've heard people say, you have to be religious to practice it, or that it's about trying to completely stop thinking.
Those are really good questions and thankfully easily debunked.
Okay.
Mindfulness is not tied to any specific religion.
Okay.
It's a human capacity available to everyone.
Gotcha.
And it's definitely not about stopping thoughts altogether. That's pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
It's more about changing our relationship with our thoughts, shifting from getting caught up in them to just observing them, with a sense of curiosity and acceptance.
Makes sense. So if our minds are always replaying the past or worrying about the future, are we just missing out on actually experiencing life as it's happening?
That's a great point, and that's what mindfulness helps with. It's about stepping out of that mental time machine and tuning in to, the richness of right now. Even simple things like noticing your breath, feeling your body in a chair, or really tasting your food can be really grounding and calming.
So is there any science behind this, or is it just a nice, philosophy?
Oh, there's definitely science. It's actually fascinating how research is catching up with what's been known in ancient traditions for centuries.
Wow.
Studies show that practicing mindfulness can have some pretty incredible effects on the brain and body.
Okay, like what? Give us the good stuff.
Well, Healthline actually highlights research showing mindfulness can slow down the aging process in the brain.
Wow, that's amazing.
They found that people who meditate regularly experience less brain tissue loss over time compared to those who don't.
That's incredible. It's like mindfulness is giving your brain a workout, keeping it young.
Exactly. Cross-training for your mind, building mental agility and resilience. And the benefits go beyond just brain health.
Okay.
Studies have also linked mindfulness to reduced stress and anxiety, improved focus and concentration, and even better pain management.
Oh, wow.
For those with chronic conditions.
So it's not just about feeling a bit calmer. It's about potentially improving, your overall health and well-being.
Right.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
But, the image of sitting on a cushion in complete silence for hours doesn't exactly thrill me.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about mindfulness. It doesn't have to be formal meditation. You can incorporate it into your everyday life, even if you only have a few minutes to spare. Think of it as like weaving moments of mindful awareness into your daily routine.
So what are some examples of how to do that?
Well, mindful.org talks about things like mindful walking,
Okay.
mindful eating,
Okay.
and mindful listening.
Gotcha.
Instead of rushing through your day on autopilot, you consciously bring your attention to the experience, like savoring each bite of food or truly being present with someone when they're speaking.
I love that. It's like bringing that sense of awareness and presence to every aspect of life. Okay, last question. Is there any connection between mindfulness and creativity?
There absolutely is.
Really?
Mindful.org actually mentions that mindfulness can boost creativity by helping us tap into a more open and receptive state of mind. When we're not so caught up in our own thoughts and worries, we're more likely to notice new possibilities.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm already starting to see how mindfulness could benefit so many areas of life. I think it's time to dive into some specific techniques and practices, don't you?
Absolutely. Let's explore the world of formal mindfulness practices and see what resonates with you.
Welcome back to our deep dive on mindfulness. You know, since our last conversation, I've been trying out some of those mindful breathing exercises.
Oh, yeah. How's it going?
Actually, I have to admit, I'm already feeling, a bit more grounded.
That's great to hear.
It's amazing how a few minutes of focused breathing can make such a difference.
Yeah, it's really a testament to the power of these simple practices. And if you're already noticing benefits from just those informal mindfulness techniques, imagine what a dedicated meditation practice could do.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So, last time we talked about a few types of formal mindfulness practices like breathing meditations, body scans, guided imagery, and loving kindness meditations.
Right.
Can we unpack those a bit more? Like, what's the difference between them, and how do I know which one is right for me?
Sure. Let's start with the most basic breathing meditations.
Okay.
These are really great for beginners because they're so simple. You just focus your attention on the natural rhythm of your breath, the feeling of the air moving in and out, the gentle rise and fall of your chest. It's like an anchor, bringing you back to the present moment whenever your mind starts to wander.
I've tried that a few times, and it really is amazing how focusing on something as basic as breathing can actually quiet those racing thoughts. But my mind still wanders. Is that normal?
Oh, absolutely. The mind is a wandering machine. It's what it's designed to do. The key with mindfulness isn't to stop thoughts altogether. That's pretty much impossible.
Right.
It's more about noticing when your mind has wandered and gently guiding it back to the breath.
Okay.
Without judgment. Think of it as like mental training. The more you practice, the better you become at recognizing when your attention has drifted and bringing it back.
That makes sense. What about body scan meditations? Those sound interesting.
Yeah, body scans are a great way to cultivate greater awareness of physical sensations. You systematically bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting with your toes and slowly moving upwards towards your head. You might notice warmth, tingling, pressure, tightness, or even just a neutral sensation. The key is just to observe without judgment.
Okay.
Just becoming more attuned to what your body is telling you.
So it's about, really tuning in to those physical sensations.
Yeah, and it can actually be really helpful for releasing tension you might not even realize you're holding.
Interesting.
A lot of people carry stress in their bodies. A body scan can be a powerful tool for letting go of that tension. It can also be helpful for managing chronic pain by helping you become more aware of sensations and learning to kind of relate to them differently.
Wow, I didn't realize it could have such a broad range of applications. Now, what about guided imagery meditations? Those sound like a nice escape from reality.
They can be very relaxing. Guided imagery involves listening to a narrator who leads you through visualizations.
Okay.
These could be peaceful, natural settings like a walk in the forest or a day at the beach, or maybe focusing on specific emotions or affirmations. The narrator might guide you to visualize yourself feeling calm, confident, or compassionate, for example.
So it's a bit like having a personal mindfulness coach right in your earbuds.
Exactly. And because you're engaging your imagination, it can be a really powerful way to shift your mood, create positive emotional states.
I like it. What about loving kindness meditations? Those sound, heartwarming.
They're a beautiful practice for cultivating compassion, both for yourself and others. You silently repeat phrases like, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, and then you extend those wishes to others. You might start with loved ones, then expand your circle to include friends, acquaintances, strangers, and even those you have difficulty with.
Wow, that's powerful practice, especially in a world that can feel so divided at times.
Right. It's a good reminder that we're all connected and everyone deserves kindness.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is that by cultivating loving kindness towards others, we also strengthen those qualities within ourselves. Okay, so we've got all these different meditation techniques. Breathing meditations, body scans, guided imagery, and love and kindness meditations. How do I even know where to start?
That's a good question. I'd say the best approach is to experiment and see what resonates with you.
Okay.
There are a lot of meditation apps that offer a variety of guided meditations so you can sample different styles. Find what you enjoy. You might be drawn to visualizations, or maybe focusing on your breath is more grounding for you.
Yeah.
The key is to choose a practice that feels good and supports your well-being.
Makes sense. It shouldn't feel like a chore. So speaking of feeling good, last time we talked about all the research that supports the benefits of mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's not just a feel-good philosophy. There's real science behind it.
Right. It's exciting to see how research is validating what's been known for centuries.
Yeah.
The evidence is really compelling. Studies show that mindfulness can have a profound impact on both mental and physical health.
I remember Healthline highlighting a study that found people who meditate regularly, they experience less brain tissue loss over time.
Yeah, that's an amazing one.
It's like mindfulness is giving your brain a workout, keeping it young.
Exactly. And one that really stood out to me was a study that showed mindfulness can actually change the structure of the brain.
Wow, really?
Yeah, in areas associated with attention, emotional regulation, self-awareness, like cross-training for your mind, building mental agility and resilience.
So it's not just about feeling a bit calmer or more focused. It's about potentially, improving your overall health and well-being.
Right. And the benefits go beyond just feeling better. Studies have also linked mindfulness to reduce stress and anxiety,
Right.
improved focus and concentration,
Okay.
and even better pain management for those with chronic conditions.
So it seems like mindfulness is a pretty valuable tool to have, regardless of your age or health status.
Absolutely. And what's even more remarkable is that mindfulness isn't just limited to those formal meditation practices.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's not about escaping reality. It's about bringing more awareness and intention to the reality you're already living.
Exactly. It's about finding those moments in your day to pause, breathe, and reconnect.
So how do we do that? What are some practical ways to weave mindfulness into everyday life?
Well, mindful.org talks about things like mindful walking, mindful eating, mindful listening.
Right.
Instead of rushing through your day on autopilot, you consciously bring your attention to the experience, like savoring each bite of food or truly being present with someone when they're speaking.
I've actually been trying to practice mindful eating lately.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing how much more I appreciate my food when I slow down and really savor each bite.
It's a great way to reconnect with the pleasure of eating and to tune in to your body's cues.
What about mindful listening? That feels like such an important skill, especially in a world where everyone is constantly vying for attention.
It really is. Mindful listening is about being fully present with whoever's speaking, giving them your undivided attention. It's about putting aside your own thoughts and judgments, and truly listening to understand their perspective.
It sounds like a recipe for stronger relationships.
Absolutely. When you listen mindfully, you create a space for genuine understanding, empathy.
We've talked a lot about the benefits of mindfulness for individuals, but I'm curious how it's being applied in other settings,
Okay.
like the workplace or even schools.
Mindfulness is gaining traction in all sorts of environments, and for good reason. There's a growing recognition of its potential to transform not just individuals, but communities and systems.
It seems like it could be a game changer in those environments.
It really can. For example, in the workplace, mindfulness programs are being implemented to help employees manage stress, improve focus, enhance communication, foster a more positive work environment.
What about in schools? I've heard about mindfulness programs for kids.
Yeah, mindfulness is finding its way into classrooms too. There's a growing recognition of its benefits for children. Things like improved attention, emotional regulation, social emotional learning.
It's amazing. Imagine if we could teach kids these skills early on. It could have such a ripple effect throughout their lives.
Exactly. It's important to equip kids with tools for managing stress, navigating emotions. Mindfulness can play a huge role in that.
This is all so inspiring. It sounds like mindfulness is more than just a personal practice. It has the potential to really transform our communities and even society.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we'll continue to see mindfulness integrated into more aspects of our lives as we discover its potential to create a more mindful, compassionate world.
Well, this has been incredible. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of what mindfulness is, how it works, and, the potential it holds.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you. I hope our deep dive has maybe inspired you to embark on your own mindfulness journey or to deepen your existing practice.
Absolutely. Even with all the amazing benefits we've talked about, cultivating mindfulness can sometimes feel challenging.
Right.
What advice would you give to, those who are struggling with staying present or quieting their minds?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll delve into some of the common challenges people face when trying to cultivate mindfulness and share some practical tips for overcoming those obstacles.
Perfect. I can't wait to hear more. Until then, happy mindful exploring. Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm excited to wrap up our exploration of mindfulness today.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation so far. We've covered so much ground already. Really is fascinating how much there is to learn about this practice.
It is. And, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to acknowledge that cultivating mindfulness isn't always easy.
You're right. It's a practice. And like any practice, it comes with challenges.
Yeah, even after trying out some of the techniques we've been talking about, I still find myself getting distracted, struggling to quiet my mind or just feeling like impatient. It can be frustrating when you feel like you're failing at mindfulness.
That's totally normal to feel that way. I think one of the biggest hurdles is that we tend to judge ourselves when our mind wanders, which is like the opposite of mindfulness.
It's true. It's like you decide to take a mindful pause and suddenly you're like mentally replaying that awkward conversation you had earlier or stressing about a deadline.
Yeah.
And then you beat yourself up for not being mindful enough.
It's so easy to get caught up in that, that inner critic. It can be loud and persistent. But the thing is, mindfulness isn't about achieving a perfectly still mind.
Right.
It's about noticing when your mind wanders and gently guiding it back to the present moment without judgment.
So how do we do that? How do we actually deal with that inner critic? The one that pops up every time we try to be mindful.
Well, a helpful way to think about it is to treat your thoughts like passing clouds.
Okay.
You notice them, acknowledge them, and then let them drift by. You don't have to get attached to them.
I like that. It's a reminder that thoughts are just thoughts. They come and go. They don't define us.
Exactly. And mindful.org actually has some great advice on this.
Okay.
They talk about being kind to your wandering mind. It's not about suppressing thoughts, but cultivating a gentle, observing awareness of them.
That's great advice. Another challenge I've definitely encountered is just finding the time for it.
Oh, yeah.
Like life gets so busy, carving out even a few minutes can feel impossible.
I hear that a lot. But here's the good news. Mindfulness doesn't require hours of meditation every day. Even a few minutes can make a difference.
So it's quality over quantity when it comes to mindfulness.
Absolutely. Even a few minutes of focused, intentional presence can be so beneficial. And remember, mindfulness can be woven into everyday activities too.
Yeah.
You can practice mindful walking, mindful eating, mindful listening, even mindful dishwashing.
I love that. It just makes it so much more accessible.
Yeah.
Less intimidating. It's not about adding something else to your to-do list, but about bringing a different quality of attention to the things you're already doing.
Exactly. It's about finding those pockets of stillness in your day, even amidst all the busyness. And, for people who are new to mindfulness and meditation, it's really important to start small.
Okay.
Be patient with yourself. Don't try to do too much too soon.
Any advice on where to begin for those who are just starting out?
Well, maybe start with just a few minutes of guided breathing meditation each day.
Okay.
And gradually increase it as you feel more comfortable. There are some really fantastic apps and online resources that offer guided meditations, which can be super helpful.
Perfect. And we'll be sure to include links to some of those resources in the show notes.
Great. And just remember, there's no right or wrong way to practice. It's about finding what works for you and being kind to yourself along the way.
I love that. It's not about perfection. It's about progress and self-compassion.
Well said. And over time, you might even find that mindfulness becomes more than just a practice. It becomes a way of being, approaching life with greater presence, awareness, and compassion.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not just about like finding moments of peace here and there. It's about a more mindful way of living.
Exactly. Bringing that quality of awareness to everything, our relationships, work, interactions with the world around us.
This has been amazing. I feel like I have a so much deeper understanding of mindfulness now.
It's been wonderful exploring this with you, and I hope this deep dive has inspired you to start your own mindfulness journey or continue on the one you're already on.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. Remember, mindfulness is a gift you give yourself, a way to cultivate more peace, joy, well-being.
And as we wrap up, we'll leave you with a question. How can you bring a little more mindfulness into your day today? Even a small act of presence can make a world of difference.
Thank you for being here, and we'll be back next week with another deep dive into a new topic. Until then, be well and be mindful.